Okay, we are back with Dishing with Democracy and another Up to Us special episode. My name is Julia Brandenstein. I'm a senior here at Stony Brook, and I'm one of the undergraduate coordinators at the Center for Civic Justice, and I am the proud campus lead of our Up to Us team here at Stony Brook. And we are also joined by my co-host.
Hi everyone, my name is Anastasia Poulos. I'm currently a sophomore at Stony Brook, and I am an intern at the Center for Civic Justice, also working at the Up to Us campaign team.
And we are also joined by our super special guest, Mr. David Arkay, one of the top Spotify podcast artists right now, coming in with his super cool podcast. Let him introduce himself. David.
Hey guys, my name is David Arkay. I am the hit host of the hit podcast. It's going to be Arkay with David Arkay. We're currently on a little hiatus right now. So that's okay though. That's RK, I guess you could say. But I'm a junior here at Stony Brook University. I'm studying political science, and I don't know. That's pretty much all there is to me, I think.
RK, it is so great to have you on here, and there's so much more to you than that. RK is definitely a hilarious host of his podcast, and we are very happy to have him on here.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And David, we just wanted to use your expertise to kind of break down some of the issues we're addressing with Up to Us from the perspective of college students, from the perspective of someone who is pretty active on social media. We wanted to know first, as a college student right now, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you describe other students' knowledge about acknowledging their role in a financially sustainable future?
So on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do I think other students know?
Yeah.
I'll be honest. Gonna have to go low on this one. I'm thinking like a 3.2 maybe.
Yeah, and that's pretty true.
3.2 sounds nice.
Yeah, I think a lot of students right now, definitely from the perspective of a college student, struggle understanding a lot of issues like the national debt and things like that because we don't really acknowledge our individual role in it, which is definitely super important.
I agree. It's very important, but like it's almost sometimes as I'm sure you guys have heard it. You talk to someone about like what's currently going on economically and stuff. People are like, "Can you speak that in like a language I could understand?" So like it's almost as if like everybody's like, I don't want to say illiterate, but like economically people just don't understand like anything when it comes to that.
No, I definitely agree. I feel like a lot of the times when you're trying to have conversations about this, nobody ever really wants to actually do the research to try and understand, because it's not very often that you would take an economics class. You kind of have to do that on your own. And especially like with so many people that just don't understand like how impactful that it could be. It's like a very big issue, which also brings me to the next point of COVID-19 impacting us with not being in person with so many different issues. How would you think that COVID-19 had impacted the ability of young college students, younger students to understand our financial system and the prospects for the future?
I think definitely COVID-19 just was a mess for absolutely everybody. Everybody missed out on something. Everybody got something taken out. But I think when you look at college students, what's really important is that they missed these crucial years in the transition from going from someone that lives under the roof of someone else to living under your own roof and providing for yourself. And because people don't have that transition period, a lot more people don't know how to be financially responsible, like you could say, for themselves. Like, yeah, we're in college right now. Everybody's getting their financial aid or dealing with that with their parents. But there's still some expenses that you learn with. Like, I think one of the best ways to learn things is through personal experience. And no better way is there to learn about how money works than spending your own money and making your own money. And a lot of people missed out on that stage where most people are first introduced to that. So I think now we have a generation, not a whole generation, but a little blip of a generation that's just like delayed a little bit when it comes to this like economic literacy.
Yeah, and I completely agree. And kind of speaking on your own experience, just like you said, learning from your own experience is the best way. What was your experience with learning about like fiscal sustainability as a kid? And do you think that kind of changed going into college? And like you can definitely say if you've had like maybe a more negative experience, because I think one of the main issues that up to us and definitely our team here at Stony Brook is trying to promote is really enhancing education for younger generations for fiscal sustainability. So I think speaking on experience is really important.
So personally, in my experience, I was a freshman in college the first year COVID hit. So I got a little bit of a look at it. I'm kind of like, I'm one of those people that just tries to learn more things and just keep learning more and more random things. So in the mix of random things I look up when I'm bored, I would include, some economic stuff I'd read about. I remember when I was younger, I looked up what even is the national debt, because I'd be watching TV and I just hear, oh, national debt this, national debt that. I'm like, oh, what is the national debt? And it's not what you think it is. It's a lot. It's a heavily involved calculation of stuff. But it's just like I am lucky that I have that sort of curious like outlook on things that I actually would look them up. But most people don't care. I'll be honest. I had no reason to look it up. I just was bored. But for the other people that aren't bored, it really doesn't even cross their mind, because why would hearing the word national debt cross your mind other than like, oh, that must be the worst thing in the world? People just don't have that, I guess, like a motivation to learn about it, if that makes sense. My motivations are just been being interested in being bored in it. Nothing really crazy, if I'm being honest. But I think one of the biggest issues that we see today is that people aren't motivated to learn about it. They feel like they don't have any stake in the system that we currently have. And I'll be honest, when the system deals with a ridiculous amount of money, and you probably have a bank account and savings account that probably doesn't add up to even less than 0.1%, you're not going to feel like it affects you at all. So,
yeah, and I definitely think that like even upon the national debt of like so many people don't even understand that there's so many other aspects of how our financing in this country intersects with so many different parts of like different fundings for the military, for education, and so many other ways of what we can do to try and allocate money in a different way. So for example, like renewable energy and green energy, that's such a big intersection of what we could potentially be doing for the future. But do you think students recognize that intersection and alongside the fiscal sustainability that we're trying to promote with it, or is it kind of on the back burner?
I think it's definitely something that's on the back burner. I don't think people realize how much money goes into sustainable energy and what that would cost and how we would make that transition, because we can make that transition as a country. It's not undoable. It's just people don't realize that it's doable, because people aren't really shown everything. I feel like people are shown like the tip of the iceberg analogy. People are always shown the tip of the iceberg and never see what's really underneath it. So unless you see underneath, you really aren't getting the whole picture. So you don't really understand what's going on. And when it comes, like, it's like, I feel like it's just the biggest issue comes down to people feel like as if they have no stake in this whole system, and they don't realize that as an individual, you are actually a part of the whole system. Every decision you make affects the world around you. And I think it's like, it's almost that, I think, is at the root of this, like, not ignorance, but just lack of interest in, fiscal responsibility and any of these issues that go along with it.
Yeah, and I think kind of getting into that, having conversations like these, I think are really good in order to kind of get that consensus on the fact that we can recognize what we're doing wrong. But the question that I guess we want to kind of leave you with and kind of wrap up our conversation with is, how do we think people can do better? Either policymakers, educators, people within communities. How can we do better to address this issue in the eyes of so many different people?
So I think the first step is education, honestly, is one of the biggest things, because nowhere are people's minds more impacted than actually learning things. So I think one of the first steps we could do is try to integrate into our education system this idea that you're becoming a member of a larger society. You have a role. Like, I know in my high school, it was required you took I'm trying to think of the word for it. You had to take half year economics and half year public policy, they called it. But in those public policy classes, there was like no high stakes. There were like joke classes that you would take for half a year. It almost felt like, and it should be taken way more seriously than that. It shouldn't be one half of your senior year. It should be, honestly, you should be learning about how this world works around you not in kindergarten, but you should be given ideas of it. It should be introduced at a younger age than what it is now, because I'll be honest, most college students don't know about this stuff. So how can we, I think one of the easiest ways to prevent it in the future is to do that. But then you have the issue with, how about all these people that are already past that level and are quote unquote already educated, but just never got that part of their education? I say that's up to lawmakers, honestly, to try to promote that they know that they have that education, but not only just use that for themselves, but to push that education forward too. Like, do some more outreach, do outreaches with communities about this stuff, because just signing a bill into law is not going to teach anybody anything. It's just going to probably make people mad because they're going to read a news article about it and not even know what it's about, just get mad based off of the title. So I think one of the issues is, like, it's the way we look at things in this country. People don't look at it the right way. They look at it in more of they live in their own worlds. And I don't want to call it selfish, because it's really not like selfish, but like they don't see the big picture around them. They don't see the world around them. They don't feel connected with people around them.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I think that's really important. Kind of what we've been talking about this entire conversation is people don't recognize that an individual can kind of be a source for education to other people and kind of have that ripple effect in terms of what's going on in the world. How can we make an impact as individuals? How can we change our habits in order to kind of acknowledge our role in a financially sustainable future? And David, we want to thank you so much for coming out on our podcast today and being a part of this. And
thank you guys for having me on.
Yeah, we want to give you an opportunity to plug your socials, talk about projects that you're kind of working on with the people.
Alrighty, so as I said before, I have my own podcast. It's called It's Gonna Be Arkay with David Arkay. It's gonna be coming out of its a little hiatus soon. I just felt like I needed to take a little one, so I took a little one. And it's my show, so I did what I wanted to do. But I'm planning on the next few weeks. There's already I have an episode in the works. I've interviewed a lot of people from TikTok, so our generation, because I just find it fascinating how people just make videos for fun on their own. They don't even make them for other people's enjoyment. And all of a sudden, they're almost like these mini celebrities. So I try to dive into that a lot. And I have someone who I find very interesting from TikTok who is a potential guest in the next few weeks. So be on the lookout for that. Check out socials at It's Gonna Be Arkay. Arkay is spelled Arkay. You can find stuff there, updates. That's pretty much that's all I got to say. Besides, thank you, because this is a great honor to be invited to be on here.
Well, thank you so much, David, for being able to come on. And once again, check out his podcast and check out our other episodes of Dishin with Democracy, the Up to Us series. We want to thank Dishin with Democracy for always kind of sponsoring our podcast. And thank you once again, David, for all of your insight and everything we talked about today. Have a great day, everybody.